Hey guys, welcome to Let Hallie Read and welcome back to another Throwback Thursday video. So the video that I was planning on filming, I decided to completely scrap because I am in a book tag mood, but I wanted the book tag to go along with our Throwback Thursday theme. So I just hopped on Google and searched classic book tag. So I found this book tag on a blog. I will put the blog site in my description so that you can check that out. So there are a few booktubers that I want to tag for this video. I'm really interested in seeing what their answers would be. First one is Erin Mack. She is a booktuber that I've absolutely been loving lately. She has an awesome YouTube. She has a great bookstagram. She also has a really cool TikTok account where she creates bookish content. And I don't actually follow a lot of book talkers, but she is one of them. She's absolutely amazing. I will link her information below. Second, YouTuber Erudite Adventure. I've been watching them a lot. They seem like they really like the classics, so I thought that they might like this book tag. I also want to tag Carolyn over at Carolyn H. Hempsey. I know that she is going through the Jane Austen books right now, and so I thought she would like this tag if she's read any more classics other than Jane Austen. The last tag is Gina Stanyer Books. She is a newer booktuber, and I've absolutely just loved her content lately. I've met a ton of small booktubers. They're all amazing. These are just a few of them, but if you are a booktuber, please feel free to do this tag. You are officially tagged by me, so go for it. First question is an overhyped classic you really didn't like. I don't like Wuthering Heights, and I know that's a very popular classic. Don't like the characters in it. I don't like the romance. I don't like Wuthering Heights, and I don't fully understand why people like it. But if you do, that's great. It's fine. People don't like Pride and Prejudice, and I love Pride and Prejudice, so we all have our different tastes. 2, favorite time period to read about. Love the Victorian period. I love the Regency, and then to skip ahead in the future, I really love the 1920s American literature, the Lost Generation, Fitzgerald, Stein, Hemingway, Faulkner. Number 3, your favorite fairy tale. I'm gonna go with Alice in Wonderland. I know it's not technically a fairy tale, but it's a classic children's book, and it's got a very fairy tale-esque feel about it. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit and say Alice in Wonderland. Number 4, I'm gonna rephrase it a little bit because the phrasing in the sentence is kind of odd, but basically what it's asking is, what classic are you embarrassed that you haven't read yet? And there's a ton. There's a lot of classics that I haven't read that I probably should have by this point in my life. I've read a lot of Dickens, but I haven't read like Oliver Twist. I've never read Oliver Twist before. That's probably a little embarrassing. Some more embarrassing books that I haven't read is Catch-22, Fahrenheit 451. Peter Pan is a big one because I'm all about classic children's lit. And I've never read Peter Pan before, so it's on my to-be-read list. I just haven't gotten to it yet. The book, I think it's called, is it called A Little Prince or Little Princess? I know like a ton of people talk about that book and how beloved it is, and I've never read it. So yeah, there's a ton of classics I haven't read that I'm like, I probably should have read that by now. As a true English major, I should have read some of these books by this point, but I haven't. So 5, top 5 classics you would like to read soon. Fahrenheit 451 is on the top 5. At the Back of the North Wind by George MacDonald. That is another classic children's book that I read a lot about when I was doing my master's thesis, but I never read it. So that's definitely on there. A Clockwork Orange is on my to be read soon list. Little Women is probably one of those that I'm a little embarrassed that I haven't read yet, and it is on my to be read soon list. And the 5th one, it's not technically a book, but I do want to read more Agatha Christie soon. I do have I think it's The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. That is on my list for April, so I want to try to get to that one, but that is just a classic author that I'd like to read more of. 6, favorite modern book/series based on a classic, and that would have to be The Hours by Michael Cunningham, and that should be on my TBR list. I need to read that one again. It is a modern book based off of Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway. I read Mrs. Dalloway in college. I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm not really a big fan of Virginia Woolf's writing. Oops, sorry if that is like a sting to anybody. But I'm just not a big fan of the stream of consciousness. I don't like that really in any writing, and that's what she does quite a bit. That's why I don't really like James Joyce either. But I absolutely love The Hours, and it made me want to read Mrs. Dalloway again. So when I get to The Hours again, I might reread Mrs. Dalloway. Who knows? Maybe if I read Mrs. Dalloway now, I'd like it. But I just remember in college, I didn't really like the stream of consciousness type of writing. It just wasn't my thing. Okay, favorite movie version / TV series based on a classic. Ooh, that's really tough. I loved the 1995 BBC Pride and Prejudice. It's top notch. Most of the adaptations that I've seen of Jane Eyre I've liked quite a bit. It's kind of funny because I just literally said I don't like Wuthering Heights, but I really do like the adaptation with Tom Hardy. Maybe because it's Tom Hardy. I don't know, but I do like the adaptation. Still don't like the characters. Still don't like the book, but I do like him, and I like watching him in like anything. So I do like Wuthering Heights, that adaptation. I don't know, there's like a lot of different classic adaptations I like. Most Jane Austen adaptations I like, besides Persuasion. I didn't like that adaptation of it. But number 8, the worst classic to movie adaptation. So in high school, when I was really getting into classics for the first time, and I got really into Pride and Prejudice, and I decided to watch as many adaptations of the book as I could. So I watched a really, really old one, Pride and Prejudice, the 1940 adaptation with Laurence Olivier. And I know that it's like, you know, he is the actor of actors. I get it, but I did not like that adaptation. It had no business being called Pride and Prejudice. It's a good movie. Like, it's a good movie away from the book if they would have given it a completely different title. But everything that happens in that movie, I'm like, that's not how. The costumes, everything, nothing was like Pride and Prejudice. I know that Laurence Olivier is like the cream of the crop when it comes to acting. He was amazing, but it's not a criticism of him. It's a criticism of how the movie was done as a whole, and how again, like I said, it should have just been given a completely different title. Favorite editions you'd like to collect more classics from? I don't know if I'd want specific editions, but I know that I want a much prettier cover of The Princess Bride. Mine's just the small little paperback, but I would love one of those really nice hardback, just beautiful engraving. I would love to get a better looking edition of The Secret Garden. Again, I just have like a little paperback, nothing special, and I would really love to get a really pretty edition of that book. I have really pretty editions of Alice in Wonderland. I've got really pretty editions of Pride and Prejudice. I'll actually show you some editions that I have. So I have this really pretty Pride and Prejudice. I don't know how well you can see that, but this is just so pretty. And I mean, it's just like, oh, it's just so cute. It's so small and cute, and I love this edition. Another one of my favorite editions is this Alice in Wonderland. It's a really old copy. It's from 1907, and I found it in a little bookshop in Canterbury when I lived there. And I usually actually keep it in a little glass memory box thing to keep it protected, but I took it out to show you. It's a little rough around the edges, but it's so cool. It's like my favorite little heirloom piece. I love this little edition. So I've got plenty of wonderful Alice in Wonderland covers and editions, but as I said, I'd love one of The Secret Garden, and I'd love one of The Princess Bride. I love The Princess Bride. It is one of my favorite books. It's one of my favorite movies. It hurts my heart when people say they don't like it. You don't have to like it, it's okay, but it hurts me a little bit. This is the last question. 10, an underhyped classic you'd recommend to everyone. I'm going to look back at some of my classes I took in college and grad school, because in undergrad I took a Shakespeare class, but we didn't read the popular Shakespeare. We didn't read Romeo and Juliet. We did read A Midsummer Night's Dream, but that one's pretty hyped. We read A Comedy of Errors, which I think is pretty underhyped for his plays. And we read A Merchant of Venice. And so those are just a couple that I don't think we always get into in schools or when we're reading Shakespeare. I took a Chaucer class in undergrad, and we read Troilus and Cressida. I think it's Cressida. Troilus and Cressida, and I absolutely love that one. I actually wrote a paper about it, and so that's kind of an underhyped Chaucer classic. In grad school, I took a Charles Dickens class, and again, we didn't read the hyped ones. We didn't read Great Expectations. We didn't read Oliver Twist. We read Bleak House, which is really good. We read Little Dorrit, which is good too. Those are just a couple that I like. Those are a couple from popular authors and playwrights that I don't think get enough hype. So that's my answer for that one. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so that you can continue checking out my channel. By the way, I have some really, really fun things coming in the summer. I will be posting a video soon talking about some of my plans for the summer. It's going to be really exciting and fun. So go ahead and subscribe so that you do not miss out on any of that. And I will see you guys next time.